Let me guess. You clicked on this because the thumbnail caught your eye, and you thought, oh, it's only 5 minutes. I can watch this quickly. Well, that's exactly how your dopamine addiction influences your decisions, constantly seeking the next quick, easy reward. Today, we're diving into how you've likely become addicted to dopamine without even realizing it, and I'll explain it in 3 simple steps. Let's get into it. 1. Instant gratification is everywhere. The first thing we need to talk about is instant gratification. How everything in today's world is designed to give you quick, effortless rewards. Think about it. From social media notifications to binge-watching TV shows, to even ordering food online, everything is built to give us immediate satisfaction. Take social media as a prime example. Every time you post something or get a new like, your brain releases dopamine, that feel-good chemical that makes you happy. The problem? It's happening constantly. With every notification, your brain is being conditioned to expect that little hit of pleasure, and you start craving it more often. You can't scroll through Instagram for just 5 minutes. You can't check TikTok for just one video. Why? Because your brain gets used to these quick rewards, and the more you get them, the more you want them. The sad part is, this starts to spill into other areas of your life. You find yourself wanting everything quickly, whether it's success, happiness, or even relationships. Patience and effort take a back seat. And here's the kicker. The more you give in to these instant rewards, the less rewarding they actually become. Your brain starts needing more stimulation to feel the same level of satisfaction. That's how you end up glued to your phone, endlessly scrolling, looking for something that feels good. 2. The trap of the endless scroll. Let's move on to the second point, the endless scroll. This is something most of us are trapped in without even realizing it. Platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok are designed with an infinite feed that never stops. Why? Because the longer you stay on these platforms, the more data they collect, and the more money they make. But for you, the user, this means your brain is stuck in a dopamine loop. Here's what happens. You start scrolling through your feed, and you don't know what's coming next. Maybe the next post will be something exciting, something funny, something that gets your attention, and that anticipation alone is enough to trigger your brain's reward system. You get a little dopamine hit just thinking about what might be next, and so you keep going. You tell yourself, just one more video, or just one more post, but the feed never ends, and your brain doesn't want it to. The uncertainty of what comes next is part of the addiction. It's similar to playing a slot machine. You don't know when the next big win will come, so you just keep playing. This endless scroll keeps you chasing that next burst of pleasure, and before you know it, hours have passed. The worst part is, once you've stopped, you rarely feel better. In fact, you probably feel drained, but your brain still craves more. This is the dopamine trap that keeps us hooked to our screens. 3. Escaping boredom and constant stimulation. The third point I want to talk about is something I'm sure we've all experienced: the fear of boredom. Let's be honest, most of us don't allow ourselves to be bored anymore. Anytime there's a slight lull in our day, whether we're waiting for the bus or sitting at home with nothing to do, our first instinct is to reach for our phones or turn on the TV, and that's because boredom feels uncomfortable. But here's the thing. Boredom is actually good for your brain. When you allow yourself to be bored, your mind wanders, and it starts to think more creatively. But we don't do that anymore. Instead, we turn to dopamine-rich distractions to fill every moment of silence. You're sitting on the couch, scroll through Instagram, waiting in line, watch a TikTok, bored at work, open up YouTube. It's like we've become conditioned to avoid any moment of stillness or downtime. And the result? Our brains are constantly overstimulated, and we become less able to enjoy simple, slower activities like reading a book, going for a walk, or even having a deep conversation. Here's a key point. When you feel bored or empty, your first instinct is often to grab your phone. This is because your brain is trying to return to its comfort zone. But if you can push past that discomfort and resist the urge, I promise you, your life will change in ways you can't even imagine. The constant need for stimulation weakens our dopamine receptors. This means activities that used to bring joy or satisfaction don't feel as rewarding anymore because they can't compete with the quick dopamine fixes we get from our phones. Eventually, you'll find that you're not just bored, but also unmotivated. Your brain is hooked on the easy way out, and real, meaningful accomplishments start to feel less satisfying. Now, here's what I want you to do. Close this video and start tackling those things that have been weighing on your mind, the things you've been putting off. Get to work, my friend, and take control of your life. And before we finish, I want to leave you with this thought. Remember, you are the same as the great commanders who conquered entire worlds. But here you are, defeated by a 6-inch screen.